Okay, so inflation. So what is inflation? Inflation is a steady increase in the general level of prices. We all saw this during the COVID pandemic. Um, and it, you know, and it was basically self-inflicted. So we had gone through a period where interest rates were artificially low. They've been held low even since the financial crisis in 2008. And then when COVID struck, the economy shut down, and then the ultimate move of stupidity, Congress under both Trump and Biden enacted stimulus plans where people were given money. People were paid to not work. Well, we didn't have any goods in the economy, so the only thing that can happen is that prices are going to go up. And the we talk about the Inflation Reduction Act. It's comical that they would even name it that, because when the government is spending money, you're never going to reduce inflation. So anyway, so what's the future direction of inflation? Up, down, so forth. It seems to be um, uh, better managed than it certainly was during COVID. So hopefully, it is getting under control and so forth. So, how does it affect income and consumption? It typically increases income, but for most people, inflation generally increases at a rate faster than their incomes grow. So the net result is a loss in what we call real income. So how do we measure it? The CPI, or Consumer Price Index. The Consumer Price Index is flawed in many ways. For example, energy prices are not included in the CPI. That the idea is that they're captured in the increasing costs of other items, so forth. But your personal inflation rate is what you have to determine on your own. But I can promise you that most people would believe that their personal inflation rate is greater than the Consumer Price Index. So, as I mentioned previously, inflation reduces real income. Real income basically is referring to your purchasing power. So even though you may have more money, the cost of buying something is even more than it was previously on a real basis. So inflation affecting income. So real income is your purchasing power. Is your income that's measured in constant prices relative to some base time period. So the I believe the Consumer Price Index, last time I checked, it was measured back to 1980. But what we're doing is adjusting incomes to reflect the true purchasing power of that income. So nominal income is your actual dollar income, not adjusted. So the first thing we do is we find a percentage change in our income. So we take our nominal income after we received a raise, and we subtract our prior year, and then we divide by our prior year. So multiply it by 100 to get the percentage. Then to find our real income, we take our nominal annual income, and we divide it by 1 plus the previous inflation rate. So this gives us our real income. It tells us what our purchasing power is relative to prior periods. So accessing economic outlook is next. So When you do that, we want to consider GDP, or gross domestic product, employment, pro-cyclical items like inflation, interest rates, counter-cyclical items, so like unemployment, gold prices. Gold prices and unemployment going up are typically a sign that the people have lost confidence. So consumer confidence affects investor confidence. It affects the companies and the economies. If people aren't buying, then the General Motors isn't going to make as many cars. Leading in economic indicators, we talked about those, the LEI and the CCI. Interest rates, the Fed funds rate. Fed funds rate is a key rate that the Federal Reserve uses to control banks. It's the banks that it's a rate that they control that rate, and they control it. So it's a rate at which banks lend to each other. By raising it, they can restrict economic activity. Okay, so next we'll start with concept check 1.2.